Hi, this is Jen from Wooden Blooms. Let's create a wood flower pumpkin. So first thing you're going to do is create a little nest of moss on the top of your pumpkin. This is of course optional, but it's a nice way to add a little bit of fill and hide any of the mechanics of your arrangement. So once you've gotten your moss on top, don't worry about gluing it. It will be held in by all the greenery and flowers. We're going to stem our flowers. So a little dab of glue on the bottom of your flower, and then you're going to gently twist and push your wire in. Doesn't take a lot of glue, and you don't need to push that wire in very far. For the pumpkins, the wires can be on the short side. You really need them to be just maybe 3 or 4 inches. Once you've got all of your flowers wired, then you're going to put those aside and grab your pumpkin again. We're going to start off by creating a greenery base. So we're using some eucalyptus, we're using some spiral eucalyptus, and of course we're also going to use a little bit of the Italian ruscus. These pieces have been cut apart, so if your piece is long, you can actually find a middle section where you can trim the one longer piece into 2. Sometimes I have to pull off one of the bottom sprigs of greenery to make that stem just a little bit longer, but it's a way to make your greenery go a little bit further. Now there's 2 styles of this pumpkin. You can do the classic or the deluxe. Right now I'm doing the deluxe. The deluxe has a lot more greenery. So if you are doing the classic version with less greenery, you're going to want to cut your pieces of greenery shorter and keep everything in a little bit tighter on your pumpkin design. Now I'm poking straight into the foam pumpkin. You have to be a little careful because where the stem comes up in the center, it's not going to go in there. So you have to make sure you go out a little bit further. The eucalyptus has a lot of volume to it. So if you were trying to create a shorter design with this, you could have your pieces of greenery cut a little shorter, and you could even slide off one of the triads of the leaves and slide them right onto one of your flowers. So you're going to go around and adding first type of greenery, and then you're going to add in the second type of greenery. I'm going to speed up the process so you don't have to watch it all in real time. So you can see I'm adding in that second layer of greenery, and I'm starting on just the bottom of the pumpkin, and then I'm going to work my way up and in. Again, this is the deluxe version. If you're doing the classic version, you're going to make all of these pieces shorter and make it so that you don't have quite so much greenery hanging down on the side of your pumpkin. So I'm going back in with the eucalyptus and then back in with the spiral, and just alternating my pieces, moving things around to make sure that everything fits. Still just pushing right into the foam. I didn't even glue any of those pieces. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to add in the flowers. So you've already stemmed them. If the stems are too long, you can always trim them here. I like to start with one type of flower and do all of those. In this case, I'm starting with the rose, and then I like to work my way around. Bigger flowers first, smaller flowers next. This is just going to make sure that you have room for those. It's nice and floral design to think about things in triads or in little triangles. So if you've got 3 of one of the flowers, you're not necessarily going to put them all at the same height. You want to vary that level from low, medium to high. And you also want to think about the planes that you're on. So you don't want to necessarily have all of those on just one side of your pumpkin. You also want to make sure they're spread out in a bit of a triangle shape. I'm going to speed up adding in the flowers so that it doesn't take us too long, but as you can see, I am just working them in to the foam pumpkin, and it can be a little tougher than the greenery, so if you need to, take an extra piece of wire and do a little poking. So here you can see I'm adding in all of the roses first, and then I'm going to go back in and add in the next layer of flower. If you're doing the classic style, you're not going to have quite as many flowers, so again, you're just going to keep it to a smaller design. This is a chance for you to move the greenery around. If a flower doesn't seem like it's in the right spot, just pull it on out and add it in a different place. So now we're going to add in our fillers, so extra pieces of greenery and little pops of color. So with these, you just add a little bit of extra hot glue to the bottom and it's going to grab onto the greenery or the stems or the pumpkin. You don't have to necessarily stem every piece of filler. You're just trying to make sure it has a little something to grab onto. So speeding up that process just a little bit, what you want to make sure you do is that you turn that pumpkin as you're adding in the fillers. So in this case, it's the natural baby's breath. I'm adding a smidgen of hot glue at the bottom, but sometimes your flowers are tight enough that you can nestle it right in and you won't have a problem. But the biggest thing that you want to do is make sure that you look from different directions to make sure you're putting in your fillers evenly. Once you've got all of those fillers in, give your pumpkin a good spin around, look at it from those different angles. I wanted to add just a little bit of something extra into these, so I ran to grab a little bit of something glittery. This stem, you don't want to put the full thing in as is. You're going to pull it off into pieces, and you may even break that down more as well. So these I could stem with a little piece of wire, but instead I'm just going to pop them in. There's just so much already in this pumpkin design that a little bit of glue will be just fine holding these in. So I'm going to spread apart the glittery so that it's all over the pumpkin, but it's just a little hint. I'm looking for any spots that just still look like they need a little something. Maybe there's a little gap there, or you need to break up between two flower colors that are the same. This is one of those things where you could put as much filler in your pumpkin or as little as you'd like. It would be even really fun because it's a great time of year right now to go grab some dried fillers from your yard. Perhaps you have some flowers or even some leaves that have dried out. These would be great to add into your arrangement. So don't be afraid to look around, even grab a pine cone or two. You could dig into your Christmas stuff and find something glittery like I just did. Once you've added in these, you can decide, do I need an extra filler? I like to go anywhere between 2 to 3 types of filler in my arrangements, but you could do more and you certainly could do less as well. This is one of those things where because no one's going to tip your arrangement upside down, just adding the little bit of glue is going to hold it. And then you can tell here, I'm like, where am I going to put this? Sometimes there's not a great spot and you do have to wire a piece just to make it hold. That's fine too. So now we've got the finished piece. We're going to pick away any hot glue strings. They definitely materialize when you don't even notice. So give it a good spin. Look at it from all the angles. And then you're going to see your finished masterpiece. At the end of the season, when you want to store this in something that is away from moisture and nothing heavy on top of it, and you should be good to go.